and Roctricity for working with the town of Brighton on this innovative wholesale energy program. Thanks to buying in bulk through our CCA program, known as Monroe Community Power, Brighton residents and small businesses will soon use 100% renewable source energy at a price that's cheaper than RG&E's current pricing for non-renewable energy. Our low CCA price will also be fixed for 2 years, unlike RG&E's pricing that varies and could go higher. Tonight you'll hear Glenn Weinberg from Joule and Sue Hughes-Smith from Roctricity, a local company that is an outgrowth of the Rochester People's Climate Coalition. We'll talk more about CCA and answer any questions that you might have. There will be a couple more opportunities to learn about our CCA before it goes into effect in January. Those future Zoom programs will be on December 1st and December 8th, also at 7 p.m. I think you'll find that this is an exciting program that will not only save us all money, but also advance our shared commitment to make Brighton a more sustainable community. And now I'm going to turn it over to Glenn Weinberg from Joule to tell us more about CCA. Glenn?
Yeah, thanks, Bill, and an extra special thanks just generally to Bill, to the supervisor, and to the town board and the town staff, really showing great leadership. Bill said it fairly modestly, but really showing leadership in the region here for a renewable program that is 100% New York State renewable power, hydro and wind, that we can really be proud of at a price that is extremely competitive. We had a really robust bidding process that Sue will tell you more about, with several suppliers engaged and giving us really aggressive pricing. And so the result here at the pricing that we were able to secure for the town and the other participating communities is really a price that we can feel really strongly about saving people a lot of money in the next 2 years. One thing that, as again, Sue will pick up on this as well, but you will be, as Bill mentioned, you have other opportunities through meetings like this to learn more about the program. You'll be getting a letter in the mail next week. Those letters will be going out Friday, so they'll be hitting your mailbox early next week. So you'll be seeing more about this program through mail, and that will have all of our contact information on it, so you can reach Roctricity anytime through phone or email, or visit us on the web at monroecommunitypower.com. So with that, I'll turn it to Sue. Sue will walk you through the particulars, and look forward to your questions after the presentation. So thanks for attending.
Great, thank you, Glenn. Appreciate it. Let me just share my screen with everyone. And let's play from the beginning. So just a note, if you're new to Zoom, which I can't imagine that you are, but just in case you are new to Zoom, your microphone and camera are going to be off during the presentation. If you would like to ask a question, there is, of course, a Q&A feature where if you put your cursor towards the bottom of your screen, that should pop up, and then you click the Q&A there. And if you are in need of the interpreter services, you might want to pin her on your computer. We are going to have Allie spotlit for us, so she should remain visible. Can we make sure, is Allie spotlit? And are we in speaker mode? I don't see Allie on my screen. There we are.
Allie is spot.
Okay.
Yes.
There we go. Thank you, Margie. Perfect. All right. Well, let's get started. Thank you all for joining us this evening to learn more about Monroe Community Power's clean energy choices, and particularly the exciting leadership that the town of Brighton is showing in implementing a 100% renewable community choice aggregation program. So just to make note, there are several communities in Monroe Community Power, including the town and village of Pittsford and the town of Irondequoit, but only Brighton is moving forward with the CCA program at this time. The other communities are going to be pursuing some community solar opportunities, but Brighton is the only one exercising the leadership to bring 100% default renewable supply to their entire community. So I'm super excited about that. And then you'll see Roctricity's logo and Joule's logo, and we are partnering with each other and with the town of Brighton to implement the program. So the program is set to launch beginning January 1st of 2021. And that means the ESCO supplier that was chosen for this program will begin to supply the electrons at that time. And you'll begin to actually see their name on your bill in February. And we'll have come back to that in a little bit. So MonroeCommunityPower.com is the website for our program. And if you visit that site, you can locate the town of Brighton and the details regarding the program and contact information and so forth. Okay, so this evening I will review what community choice aggregation is, the benefits, contract details, will CCA affect you, what your bill will look like, and what the next steps are for program implementation. Okay, community choice aggregation is a state approved program that the Public Service Commission authorized in April of 2016. And there was a pilot program in Westchester County, and then they took that experience and wrote the rules for the 2016 authorization. The program allows municipalities to aggregate energy demand and negotiate bulk purchase. So just to be clear, municipalities could aggregate natural gas supply, they could aggregate electric supply, they could do both. But those communities that are focused on addressing climate and other sustainability goals recognize that it's probably the best thing to do to begin with the electricity, which then we can drive renewable purchasing as opposed to natural gas. You don't want to aggregate natural gas and decrease cost and increase use. So when communities begin to look at natural gas, they're going to want to pair that with some programs that allow for the reduction in demand at the same time. So just to be clear, this CCA program is focusing on the electric supply. And what it does is it shifts the default selection of the supplier of the electrons from the state of New York telling the utility, please purchase on behalf of the residents and small businesses unless they make a choice themselves. And instead it moves that selection to the local municipality. And why we think that is a fantastic idea is because it relocates the authority to a lower level of government, where the municipality may be more engaged with the community and have sustainability goals that they would like to meet. So it is a wonderful way to try to accelerate the adoption of renewable energy through purchasing. And while all energy customers are eligible to participate, some are automatically included in the program. And that is described as an opt-out treatment, while others could choose to join through opt-in treatment. And that's basically determined by your meter classification. To make it simple, if you are a resident or a small business in Brighton, you will be, in all likelihood, automatically enrolled in the CCA program. Very large energy users might be eligible to join, but they would have to take an action to participate. So most large energy users tend to not join CCA programs because they already are able to access competitive pricing. So the state of New York really was providing community choice aggregation as a way for residents and small businesses to access that same part of the market by aggregating demand. So the benefits of CCA include leveraging the bulk buying strategy through aggregation. So pooling our demand together and then going out to bid for the electric supply allows us to dictate the terms to the market rather than having the market dictate the terms to us. The goal is to project savings for residents and small businesses, to eliminate price volatility through long-term fixed rates, and to enable the selection of the default supplier, and in that way, choosing to prioritize things like New York State renewable electricity. So the details for the CCA program here in Brighton include the winning bidder, the winning ESCO, which is Source Power. As Glenn mentioned earlier, there are several companies that bid on the contract, and Source Power gave us the most competitive rate, where it was below RG&E's dirty mix, if you will, that for the last 24 months. So RG&E has a variable rate. If you average that rate from the past 24 months, it was around 4.3 cents per kilowatt hour. And you can see that the Source Power came in just below that at 4.292 cents per kilowatt hour, which is really a fantastic rate, especially for something that is fixed for 24 months. And as Supervisor Maley noted, RG&E's rate, I think I looked at it in October, it was 4.6 cents per kilowatt hour. So a great comparison, a great rate for our community, especially for a renewable product. If you tried to get this same product as an individual, it would cost 25% more. It's 6.1 cents is about the best you can do as an individual. So that's really the power of aggregation, being able to dictate the terms of the contract, drive costs down for consumers. So, wait for Allie. So you might be wondering if community choice aggregation will affect you. And generally, customers are enrolled on an opt-out basis. There are a couple of exceptions. If you have already contracted with a third-party supplier, you've chosen your own ESCO, and you're in an active contract with them, then you would not automatically be included in this program. In addition, customers that have a demand meter, you would have to be a very large consumer of electricity to have a demand meter, but those customers are not automatically included. If you have chosen to put a block on your account, maybe you were tired of getting ESCO offers and you had called RG&E and asked them to block your account, then you also would not be automatically included in this program. And finally, home energy assistance recipients. Unfortunately, HEAP program recipients are not eligible at this time. And that's the result of the kind of the regulations around the HEAP program, that the CCA terms do not match with the HEAP requirements. So all the other customers will be automatically enrolled unless you take an action to leave the program before it begins, which of course, we're hoping you'll see the benefits of the program and choose to stay involved. And you should know that opting out is possible at any time, and there's never a charge to leave the program. But if you never want to enter the program to begin with, then during this next month, basically, between now and December 18th, you'll have a couple different options if for some reason you don't want to participate. We think it's a really great product, and we certainly hope that you choose to stay in the program. So will your electric bill look different? Yeah, it will, because you may have recognized, if you've ever looked at your RG&E bill, there's actually two components. There's a supply part and a delivery part. And I'm going to show you a picture of the bill in just a second. But the details for the supply are going to move to a new location on the bill. And you'll see the name Source Power associated with the supply. So let's take a look at that. So here you go with a kind of a sample RG&E bill. And again, you see the delivery charges. And those are the charges that allow RG&E to do their work, to take care of the wires, the poles, their employees, and so forth. That's the delivery charge. The part below that, the electric supply charges, that's really what CCA is able to impact, the cost of the electrons themselves. So as we implement community choice aggregation, you'll notice two things. First, on the very beginning of the bill, there's a consolidated account summary, and there you will see Source Power's name listed. Then a little deeper into the bill, you will see that the supply details have moved. You'll find RG&E's electric delivery charges, but the supply is no longer listed right below there because RG&E is no longer making that choice, but rather the municipality dictated that Source Power would be the supplier. So further down in the bill, you will find near the messages section, the information from Source Power, where their name will be listed and the kilowatt hours and the fixed price of 4.292 cents per kilowatt hour. The next steps, as Glenn mentioned just a moment ago, you will be receiving a letter from the municipality. And this letter will include the details that I'm reviewing this evening, as well as the explanation of how to opt out of the program if you don't want to participate. So a couple things to look for. First, it'll be arriving early next week because the letter goes in the mail on Friday. You'll know it's the correct letter because on the envelope, the return address, it will say town business, and then it will say Source Power. Inside, the letter will be on municipal letterhead. So you'll recognize our Brighton logo and you'll see Monroe Community Power listed there. Okay, so you'll receive this letter. It'll have our contact information and a reminder about this same presentation, if you want to watch it again, on December 1st and December 8th, both at 7 p.m. The new supplier, Source Power, you will see on your bill in February. So while the new rate goes into effect January 1st, you see that bill the next month. So in February, you should begin to see Source Power listed on your bill. So thank you for listening, and we have lots of time for questions. And we should probably mention one other thing if there aren't questions right away, and that is Brighton has an additional opportunity. So in that opt-out letter, you will also find a flyer for a community solar offering, also through Source Power. And the community solar offering will have a 5% annual savings off the total electric bill, and that is a guaranteed savings. So the CCA program is an expected savings, and the community solar offering is a guaranteed savings. So Monroe Community Power, and if you want to reach us either through the website or by email at info@monroecommunitypower.com. Our local phone number here for Roctricity is 244-0244. Okay, I'm going to switch to gallery view, I think. Stop screen sharing. and go to gallery for the Q&A.
Thanks, Sue. We do have a couple of questions. Maybe we can, the first one is, isn't just signing up for RG&E picking your ESCO? And then the second question is also ESCO related. Please explain how I can opt in if I'm currently in a contract with a third-party supplier. So we have two ESCO related questions. Sue, do you want to?
Sure, why don't I start? I can always punt to Glenn. So first of all, if you have an ESCO contract, you should check the terms of that contract before you do anything else. Make sure there's no exit fee that you're not expecting. But if you want to leave your ESCO contract, and you are sure you understand what that means for you, then you would call RG&E and you would have them switch you out of your current ESCO program. We just did that ourselves at our house. It usually takes a billing cycle or two for RG&E to process that claim. And so if that's all done quickly, I think, right, Glenn? Then they should automatically be included in January. If that process takes you beyond January 1st to sort out, then you simply would call Roctricity at that number or send us an email and we'll get in touch with you and we can help you enroll in the CCA program. Or you'll be able to do that through the website, monroecommunitypower.com. There's an enroll button. And then you would just enter your information there. Okay, the other question is, isn't just signing up for RG&E picking your ESCO? I'm gonna let Glenn explain this because I think he'll do a better job. It's not really the same thing, but I know what you're getting at. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Sue. So I guess the question is, what's the difference between just signing up for the utility basic service and picking your own ESCO? So there are certain restrictions on the way, there's certain regulated behaviors or patterns of the way that the utilities have to, as a regulated entities in New York State, have to buy their electricity on your behalf and then charge you for it. So it is a salient question in the sense that in New York for the last 20 years, we have moved away from the kind of traditional monopoly structure that utilities used to operate by and still do in some states. But meaning that the utility owned the power plant, they owned the transmission lines, they owned all the distribution infrastructure, the poles and wires that Sue mentioned, everything, and then they billed you for it. The utilities no longer own the power plants, so they operate in similar ways that ESCOs do, in the sense that they buy power on the wholesale market. But again, they have certain narrower bands. I guess the generic way to say is they have a more narrow way in which they can interact with the market, and therefore the way they can charge you. And ESCOs can operate more competitively and work with different market structures in a way to provide not only potentially a lower price, but also offer you a fixed price, something that the utility is not permitted to offer you. The utility must offer you a monthly rate based on the market price for energy that month, as well as their other purchases that they've previously made. An ESCO can offer you a fixed rate over a period of time, like so with CCA, we have a fixed rate for 24 months. You don't have to stay in for all 24 months, but you have the option to access that same fixed rate every month for 24 months. And the ESCOs also have the opportunity to buy different mixes. So the utility, for instance, is not yet permitted to offer you a 100% renewable supply. They offer you whatever they can buy on the wholesale market. The ESCOs, on the other hand, do have the opportunity to buy renewably for you. consistently, such that your power supply is 100% renewable all the time. So I think that's probably a good high-level answer to that question.
Then let me address Barbara. There's a question here. How come Irondequoit and Pittsford decided not to do this? It sounds like a great deal. I can't really answer for Irondequoit and Pittsford, and they may well join this part of the program at a future date. But the town board of the town of Brighton, we looked at the pricing. We made a decision that because this pricing was less expensive than the average of the last 24 months for non-renewable source energy, and clearly even more lower price than the current RG&E price, again, for non-renewable energy sources. We made the decision that this was a good time, particularly with the fixed price option. And again, particularly noting the fact that this is renewable source, New York produced. That's important to us. That has been one of our core values, sustainability. Our whole comprehensive plan is grounded in sustainability. So we made the decision that this pricing was good pricing, and we took it, frankly. And each of the Irondequoit and Pittsford boards, made their own decision-making processes, but they are a part of CCA, a part of Monroe Community Power, each participating in a different way. Then there's a couple questions about solar and people who already have solar, someone who's already paying extra for wind energy. Maybe, again, Glenn or Sue can address the interplay between existing community solar.
Sure. I did see, I think, Herman's question there on the wind energy. So I think it's kind of up to you if you want to keep paying RG&E $5 extra for wind energy. If you're getting 100% renewable energy through the CCA program, yeah, there's not really a need to pay extra for wind energy to RG&E unless you want to support someone else's access to renewable energy, I guess, in a way. But for the solar, yeah, if you have solar on your roof, or if you're already participating in a community solar program, you can't participate in another community solar program. So that's really the only limiting factor. For everyone else, you're welcome to subscribe, and you can participate in both the CCA program and the community solar program. And that's really how you maximize both your savings and your participation in kind of shifting New York to renewable energy, if you will. I don't know if, Glenn, you want to add anything?
No, I think that you really addressed the next two questions, Sue. And the next being what are the terms? Sorry, my scrolling is getting out of whack now. But I think the next one was, what are the terms of the solar deal? Yeah,
and the terms of the solar deal will be, I think, laid out in their flyer that will be inserted, but it's a 5% annual savings, guaranteed annual savings, and that's over your total electric bill, both delivery and supply. You will, of course, note that solar production isn't the same month to month. You may have noticed we have less sun right now. And so in the wintertime, you'll have less of a savings than you see in the summertime, but that averages out to about 5% over the course of the year. I mean, it's guaranteed for 5% over the year through source power.
Josephine is also asking about geothermal heating and cooling in Brighton Township. I'm not sure, Josephine, if you're referring to a residential geothermal option through the CCA, or whether the town is looking into that for its own buildings, but I can say that that is a possibility, certainly, that we could have an offering for residential conversion to geothermal with a geothermal vendor in the area. That's not something we offer right now, but that would be something that would always be a sort of opt-in you know, much like the community solar is at the moment, something that we might be able to negotiate a better deal with vendors, like I said, but would be something that would be voluntary, but nothing in the immediate works on that. And I don't know, Bill, if you want to speak to whether or not the town has looked into geothermal for any of its facilities.
Yeah, I'll add on. Yes, we know that some folks have installed geothermal systems for their homes. I think there are a couple of commercial buildings in town that have also put in geothermal. We don't have any current plans to install geothermal. It's something we've talked about, you know, but right now the town doesn't plan to, but it is certainly something that an individual resident can do. I would note though, that the economics of it, you know, one of the reasons people do it is, again, to find a renewable source of energy. I don't know that the economics will be as compelling because we will have this very competitive price and fixed price for renewable energy without someone having to make the large capital investment for geothermal. Someone asked, will CCA affect your solar panels? No, you can participate in the CCA program, and the solar that you are generating now will continue, as I think Sue may have said earlier, it will, you know, in the sunny times of year, you will generate more solar, and that will offset more of the cost of, you know, you'll have to buy less electricity through the RG&E program, but you can continue to be part of the CCA.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you know what, I should add too, Bill, that this is an opt-in community solar program, right? So where the community choice aggregation, you're automatically included unless you choose not to participate. The community solar offering at this time would be an opt-in program. So people would have to take an action to join, and it would mean that they would get a second bill. So the savings would be on the RG&E bill, and the solar cost of the solar energy would come in a separate bill. For now, until RG&E moves to making all of that on one bill, hopefully later in 2021.
And Sheila asks for more explanation about Source's community solar offering and the guaranteed reduction. When is that being offered, and for how long are they guaranteeing the 5%?
I believe they're 20-year. They're typically 20 or 25-year agreements. Now you can leave without a penalty at any time during that 20 to 25 years. I believe these are 20-year agreements. So you do sign an agreement with them, which explains the terms, and you have access to that benefit for up to 20 years, though you do have a free exit as well. And I see Sheila's second question a little bit further down. What happens after the 24 months of the CCA fixed rate? So the town, it's a contract that has no auto rollover or extension to it. It's a 24-month contract. The town, you know, will come back in about 18 months to start talking about the next contract period. And the town has all its options, and Bill can speak more to this about how they're thinking about it. But from our point of view as the administrator, we're the consultant to the town. Our job is to advise the town on what we're seeing, the opportunities are in the market. So before this contract, we were advising the town that this was quite a good time to fix a rate because of the state of the market, given COVID and given other market factors here that have led to a pretty down market for electricity over the last 18 months or so. So it's a really good time to fix because pricing is still looking pretty low for the next year or so, and then starting to get back to normal, sort of typical historical levels. So it's a good time to anchor in a fixed price. We'll see what that looks like in 18 months. We'll see how the first contract performed, what the opportunities are to extend or to renew at that time, or to rebid completely and see what happens. It will be the town's choice entirely, and it's our job to advise them on next steps once this contract is getting towards the end.
Yes, it's certainly our intention to continue the CCA, because we want to make this long-term commitment to sustainable energy. Frankly, the sustainable energy business continues to grow. I hope and expect we'll have even more options when we look out 18 months to 2 years. And that competition in the renewable energy market hopefully will continue to give us opportunities with guidance from Joule to find a good price, hopefully again a fixed price. That's what we specified this time around. And but you know, like anything else, you know, in 2018 nobody could have ever anticipated what 2020 would look like. So we will simply make a decision at that point, but it is very much our intention to continue to provide the best price we can for renewable New York source energy.
Great. So I see if solar and it's really Tina. Thank you, Tina, for identifying yourself. You're writing under a pen name of Barbara, but if solar is guaranteed savings, how come Brighton didn't move to that directly? I think Sue addressed this just a minute ago. That solar, the community solar option is an opt-in voluntary choice. It doesn't require an agreement on your part, and does require management of that account. So it is additional, but it is additive savings and benefit to the benefit that you'll see through the CCA, through the 100% renewable. You can take advantage of both. It's just that one is set up as an opt-out default and the other as an opt-in voluntary, but it's your choice to participate in neither, either, or both. The next one, unless Sue, the next one's about how do we get paid, so I'll take that unless you want to jump in.
I just wanted to say that because of the two bills, you know, most municipalities don't want to automatically enroll people in programs that create an additional bill, you know, but, you know, hopefully in the near term, the bill will be consolidated, and then Brighton and other municipalities may choose to shift to an opt-out community solar model, like the Village of Brockport and Lima are currently able to do, because they're in a different utility area. So hang on for that if you want, you know, that opportunity may come down the road, but you have an opportunity for additional savings right now if you so choose it.
And Glenn, I'll start on the next question.
Sure.
How did Joule and Roctricity get involved? And then I'll let you talk about payment. But really maybe the most important question is the last one that I see there. Is opting in or out seamless? Absolutely. And that's, you know, so important. People are not going to have a gap in service. You will flip the light switch and the switch will go on at all times. That, of course, is everybody's top priority. So opting in and out is completely seamless. How did Joule and Roctricity get involved? The town went out and asked for bids. We went out and asked for proposals. There were 3 proposals that the town board considered and made the judgment that the proposal that was really a combined proposal from Joule and Roctricity was the best proposal, and it was the proposal that the town board voted to work with as a consulting team. And then I'll let Glenn explain payment.
Yeah, thanks. So we get paid. I know we've mentioned it before, and Sue mentioned it. Joule Community Power is the CCA administrator, which is a state regulated and state defined role. So it's our responsibility, as Bill mentioned, to act as a consultant on behalf of the town through this process, which includes public education and outreach like tonight, which we've been doing for months and months through various media and channels through the community. And also to manage the power procurement process. As we talked about, we had a competitive bidding process. There was a competitive bidding process for the town to select us as the consultant, and then we as the consultant managed a competitive bidding process for the power supplier themselves. And we make sure all the regulatory requirements are met, all the requirements with the utility is met, all the requirements with the supplier, and triangulate all of those, as well as to be the sort of public facing education and outreach arm for the program on behalf of the town. For that, we get paid an administrative fee, which is in the amount of $0.0008 per kilowatt hour, which is 8/100ths of a cent. Which sounds, of course, like a very small amount, and it is, but it's for all of the power that is purchased through the program. We get paid on that volumetric rate, and we get paid by the supplier. So not by the municipality and not as a separate line item on your bill, but rather from the supplier as acting as a sort of consultant and a facilitator of the program itself.
And Joule splits that
Oh, yes.
administrative fee with Roctricity.
Yes, I should not forget that. Yes.
Yeah, that's an important piece for us. The four of us at Roctricity, myself, Ben Freever, Melissa Carlson, and Margie Pete, have been working on community choice aggregation in this region for 5 years. First for the Rochester People's Climate Coalition, which you may know is now called the Climate Solutions Accelerator of the Genesee Finger Lakes region. So that advocacy led us to meeting Glenn and his team, and they asked us to partner to be their local manager for CCA programs, to do education, outreach, customer service, keep municipalities informed. And so that's our role, and we will get paid someday through administrative fee. Yeah, but up till now we've worked, really this has been all volunteer work on our end. So.
And I think it's important to know too, the Joule as the project administrator, that role is, so much of this, like everything really, it seems in the utility business, is regulated by the Public Service Commission. Right. There are, I believe, still only 3 organizations in the state of New York that have been approved by the Public Service Commission to act in this role as CCA administrator, and Joule is one of those firms.
Right.
That was the last question I saw.
Okay, I don't know.
I think so.
Yeah. Yep. The only thing that we didn't mention was that the NYSERDA grant funding. I don't know if you want me to touch on that.
Sure.
Yeah, sure. By the town of Brighton participating in 100% New York State renewable energy program, that should put them in an excellent position to access more grant funding through NYSERDA for other sustainability projects. We're waiting to see that new round of funding, but we've been told that they are valuing, by point system, that they're valuing this exact type of program quite highly. So that's maybe another exciting opportunity for the town of Brighton to continue with other initiatives that they value.
One other question has come in there, asking again about solar. How come it didn't go 100%?
I'm not sure I understand.
I can take a crack at that, Sue, because I think I maybe know where they might be heading with that. There's not enough solar. So these solar projects, there are more and more of them, and more of them coming in the pipeline. But there's not nearly enough active solar yet in Rochester gas and electric territory to serve even close to 100% of the town's needs. Right now in New York State, the abundant renewables on the grid are hydroelectric and wind, which is what we're buying here. And soon, hopefully in a couple of years, again, we're talking about what might happen, what the options might be in a couple of years. I expect we'll have many more solar options in 18, 24 months. But right now they're limited opportunity, which is why or limited capacity, which is why they are typically set up as opt-in programs for those that are interested in that, but don't yet have the volume yet in the grid to really be a 100% option.
And then the follow-up question, if it's such a big savings, I saw Pittsford may go, I think you're saying 100% for their community. Pittsford is participating in the solar portion of the program, but that is different than community choice aggregation, and again won't provide the same level of supply or savings as the CCA program. Glenn, again, maybe you want to expand on that more.
Yeah, and
they're really two separate programs. We can do both, and we've chosen to do both. Right. At this time, Pittsford has chosen only to do the community solar.
Yeah, and I think maybe also Sue or Ben, correct me, but I think Pittsford may also be, this may always also might refer to Pittsford looking for 100% renewable supply for their town accounts, as opposed to all the residential accounts. I'm not sure, but the way I read that question, that might be referring to that.
I'm not sure what the question is specifically. Oh, I saw Pittsford may go. Yeah, so Pittsford has, as my understanding is, they have contracted for just municipal buildings for a 100% renewable electric product, but it is a national, it's not a New York State based program, and it does not include residents and small businesses. So it's just for their government facilities, and most governments, Brighton probably has a contract for their municipal facilities as well. So I think that's probably what you saw for the town of Pittsford. Pittsford is interested in the future, just as is Irondequoit, in implementing a community-wide CCA program. But really the product that Brighton was pursuing was actually available in that price range at a very narrow quantity. Like Brighton was ready and moved and was able to access this excellent product. And the other communities are looking for an opportunity in the future to do CCA. So in the interim, they will do an opt-in community solar program. Hopefully that clears up any confusion.
Someone also asks, if a household decides initially to opt out, but later wants to join, they can do that, and they would
they can
reach out to Monroe Community Power through one of the contacts noted before and get back into the program.
Correct. Yeah, we're happy to help you with that at Roctricity, or someone could do that through the website at Monroe Community Power, either one.
Yeah, it's our goal to make it easy to get out if you want to get out, and easy to get in if you want to get in. That's what we're here for.
But I will say very honestly, and everybody has the opportunity to make their decision. One of the things that was very compelling for us is that this is a program that we think, and we certainly hope, all or substantially all of our residents will find to be a good program they want to participate in, based, again, largely on the fact that it is renewable source energy, but the pricing is very attractive and it's fixed. And we think that today, frankly, it's an offering that can't be beat. I started by saying I'm excited about this. I really am. I'm very, very much looking forward to January and the start of this CCA.
And Bill, thank you so much for Brighton's leadership, and in particular your leadership in getting to this point. It's admirable that Brighton is so committed to sustainability. Thank you for that.
Thank you. If there's no other questions, again, we will be doing this again on Zoom, both on December 1st and December 8th at 7 o'clock. You'll be getting that information letter next week, and that may generate more questions. Feel free to join another Zoom meeting, or reach out to the contact information that'll be at that letter. But in the meantime, thank you, Roctricity. Thank you, Joule, for the work you're doing. Want to remind everybody to stay safe, especially around the Thanksgiving holidays. Please be careful. We can beat this, but wear your mask, maintain your social distance, and we look forward to talking to you more in the future about renewable energy in Brighton. Have a good evening, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Bill. Thanks, Sue.
Thanks, Sally. Thanks. Yep. Bye, everyone.